In the podcast, Ben Shapiro discusses various political and international issues, including the upcoming 2024 election, the situation in the Middle East, and the importance of maintaining freedom of the seas. He also addresses the challenges faced by the Republican National Committee, RNC, and the potential consequences of weakness in foreign policy. Shapiro begins by discussing the upcoming 2024 election and the potential candidacy of Donald Trump. He highlights the legal challenges faced by Trump, including efforts to bar him from the ballot in several states. Shapiro also mentions the support for these efforts among some Americans, as well as the impact of these challenges on the Republican National Committee's financial situation. The podcast includes details about the polls showing Trump's lead in the Republican primaries and the potential impact of his candidacy on the Republican Senate races. Shapiro emphasizes the need for a strong ground game and strategic planning for the election, pointing out the RNC's lack of cash and Trump's absence of a clear strategy. Shapiro discusses the challenges faced by President Joe Biden's administration, particularly in foreign policy. He highlights the conflicting positions taken by the administration on issues such as the Israel-Palestine conflict and the situation in the Red Sea. Shapiro criticizes the administration's lack of clear political positions and the impact of this on global trade and security. The podcast includes examples of the threats posed by countries such as China and Iran to vital shipping lanes and the potential consequences of weakness in addressing these threats. Shapiro emphasizes the importance of maintaining freedom of the seas and the need for a strong military presence to protect global trade routes. Shapiro discusses the challenges faced by the United States in addressing international conflicts and maintaining national security. He highlights the threats posed by terrorist organizations and adversarial countries to vital trade routes and the potential impact on the global economy. The podcast includes examples of choke points for global trade, such as the Strait of Malacca, the Taiwan Straits, and the Strait of Hormuz, and the potential consequences of disruptions in these areas. Shapiro emphasizes the need for a strong military presence and strategic planning to address these challenges and protect vital trade routes. Shapiro emphasizes the importance of a strong naval presence, especially in the face of growing threats from countries like China. He argues that the U.S. needs a larger fleet of ships to effectively challenge the Chinese Navy. He quotes Admiral Charles Richard, commander of U.S. Strategic Command, who expresses concern about the slow pace of naval capability development compared to China. Richard warns that without a sufficient number of ships, the U.S. may struggle to maintain strategic deterrence and national defense. Shapiro then delves into the connection between foreign policy, isolationism, and the U.S. economy. He argues that isolationist policies can have serious economic consequences, particularly in terms of trade and supply chains. He criticizes the idea that isolationism can disconnect war-making and economics, emphasizing the interconnectedness of the two. Shapiro asserts that freedom of the seas, trade, and comparative advantage are essential for economic prosperity and better living standards. Shapiro engages in a debate about libertarian economics, particularly in response to comments made by Tucker Carlson. He challenges the notion that libertarian economics has been a scam and argues that it simply advocates for a free market and limited government intervention. Shapiro rejects the idea of a conspiracy behind libertarian economics and emphasizes the benefits of free trade and property rights. He also addresses the criticism of dollar stores, defending their role in providing affordable products and economic opportunity for both consumers and employees. Shapiro provides a historical perspective on American economic development, highlighting the practical and pragmatic nature of Americans seeking economic opportunity. He references the rapid expansion of tract housing in the post-World War II era, emphasizing the importance of providing affordable housing for families. He challenges the notion that libertarian economics has hollowed out America, citing statistics that show a significant decrease in the time price of food over the past century. Shapiro warns about the potential consequences of isolationism and economic retreat, particularly in the context of global trade and supply chains. He raises questions about the impact on the cost of living and the availability of affordable goods if the U.S. were to abandon free market principles. Shapiro argues that a retreat from global economic engagement would likely result in a decline in living standards for Americans. Shapiro concludes by reaffirming the positive impact of free market economics on American prosperity. He emphasizes that while it may not solve all problems, it has significantly improved the economic well-being of Americans over time. Shapiro challenges the notion that libertarian economics has betrayed the American people, citing evidence of increased affordability and accessibility of goods and services. He underscores the importance of maintaining economic freedom and global engagement for the continued prosperity of the country.